you may actually save a life by fat shaming somebody. Welcome back to the show. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get to it. First topic, one day after winning the New York City mayoral race and promising a bunch of free stuff, Zohran Mamdani is now asking for your money. Roll the clip.
Good morning, New York City. Thank you. Last night we made history, and today we begin the work of making a new administration. Welcome to the transition. This is the period over the next few months where we build a city hall that delivers on the promises of our campaign, to make New York City affordable and to make government accountable to the people it serves. As we prepare to govern, we'll start announcing the leaders who will help implement our agenda. People like deputy mayors who oversee entire areas of government and the commissioners who carry out the critical work of city agencies. These appointments will be driven by excellence, integrity, and a hunger to solve old problems with new solutions. Talking to organizers on the front lines of the fight to improve our city, government veterans with proven track records, policy experts from around the country and the world, and working people who know better than anyone what our neighborhoods deserve. And this will be a period, like the campaign we ran and the city hall to come, defined by transparency. Because New Yorkers deserve a government they can trust. On January 1st, I will be your mayor. New Year's Day and a new era for this city. Oh, and one more thing. Remember how I told you a few months ago to stop sending us money? You can start again. This transition requires staff, research, and an infrastructure that can meet this moment. And it will be made possible by the people who built and believe in this movement. So I hope you'll make a donation at transition2025.com. Now let's get to work.
So the guy won an election by making fake promises with a bunch of free stuff. The morons fell for the old free soda in the drinking fountains elementary school campaign. And then he realized, oh yeah, no, we're not going to be able to put free soda in the drinking fountains. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But I mean, hey, we'll see if he ends up doing it. The free bus and the free grocery stores. And do you actually think a free bus in New York City would ever work? You don't think people are just going to be living on that bus, pitching tents in about a week after it goes free? Or the free grocery stores, you don't think people are just going to go ransacking the place? Oh, I voted for Mamdani, so all this stuff is free and it's all mine. You don't think that's going to happen? I mean, if you think that New York City can actually run with free buses that aren't just going to be taken over by homeless and free grocery stores that aren't just going to be taken over by scumbags, you're a total moron. That never happens in America. That's why you can't have a robot that goes and delivers things or a security guard robot at a mall, because after about 10 minutes, somebody has completely destroyed the thing, right? And that's exactly what would happen in New York with this free stuff. But all right, let's get to the next topic here. Trump told this hilarious story about President Xi's cabinet members when they met to discuss the trade deal recently. Roll the clip.
Much as he can be a friend, he's a tough man. He's a tough man. Smart man, actually, very smart. The press doesn't like it when I call him very smart. You know, they think I'm not supposed to call him smart. But at least 1.4 billion people, without question. In fact, during the meeting we were there, a couple of you were there, and some of you saw it. So he's here, and he's got about 6 people on each side, and every one of those people was standing like this. They were at attention. And I made a comment to one of them, and it got no response. I said, are you going to answer me? I got no response. And President Xi didn't let him have any. So if there's any question, I said, I want my cabinet to behave like that. I'm demanding that I want them sitting up like that, Tim, just nice and straight. I never saw posture like that. I've never seen men so scared in their lives. They have the equivalent of a vice president. I said, are you going to answer my question? And he's like, he doesn't move. I said, what's wrong with this guy? I will answer all questions. Why don't you behave like that? JD doesn't behave like that. JD butts into conversations. I want to have that for at least a couple of days, okay, JD? We'll keep you long term, but a couple of days of that would be very, very nice. Okay, I want to thank you, and we'll talk.
Of course Trump loved it, and of course he thought to himself immediately, like, oh God, I need to get my cabinet members like this. But see, those types of things will never be allowed in America. You know, that's just not the American way, where you got the president and every cabinet member's got to be like on guard, like he's some sort of slave to the president, you know. Yeah, that just doesn't happen in America. But Trump, he probably wouldn't mind if his cabinet was a little bit more like President Xi's cabinet. I don't think he's joking there. But all right, let's get to the next topic here. National Women's Soccer League player Elizabeth Eddy, or Eddy, has responded to her teammates' criticism for her trying to save women's sports. Roll the clip.
Reasonable people can disagree on this topic, but there's no need to go to bullying and name calling because it doesn't set a good example for anyone. But furthermore, these teammates are my friends, and I've known them for a very long time. And in fact, they've been invited to my wedding, and the invite still stands. They have said yes, I hope they come. And I think it's super important to offer an olive branch, because at the end of the day, we're all humans, and getting on the same page and choosing to work together, I think, is very important.
So do they not understand there's a danger of a trans male playing against women? Do they understand in a locker room how uncomfortable that situation is? What don't they get?
I would say in the professional sports world, it's really tricky because speaking out is a really difficult thing to do because think about it. The mindset as a pro athlete is I work my entire life for this. I'll do anything it takes, whatever the cost. And then the flip side of that is even if I stay silent, even if I go along to get along, I'm willing to do that to play. So I think at the end of the day, a lot of my teammates, a lot of my peers do agree with what I'm trying to share, but they want to play back more than they want to speak up. And I understand that. And so there's a lot of fear involved because there's a high cost for it.
Yeah, for some reason, women are just so afraid of speaking out against men and women's sports and invading their spaces like locker rooms and bathrooms. And the women who actually support that type of thing are the biggest idiots of them all because their tolerance is basically just going to lead to their own demise, right? Especially when it comes to women's sports. If you allow men to compete in women's sports will no longer exist. So there would basically just be completely eliminating women from any sort of athletic competition. But yeah, you can't be afraid to speak out against this thing and actually speak up for what you know to be true and what you believe in just because somebody might call you a transphobe or a bigot or a racist, whatever you believe in, if you know it to be true and what you actually stand for, then you can't be afraid to say whatever it is, and you can't be afraid of the repercussions of what some idiot might call you, right? Because that has no bearing on your life whatsoever. But all right, let's get to the next topic here. Apparently, liberals have invented fat categories to measure fat privilege amongst the fat community. Yeah, this video came across my feed. Roll the clip.
I have a question. Can you tell me what category of fat I fit in?
So it's based on your shirt size. So if you are a 1 or 2X, you are small fat. 3 to 4X, you are mid fat. 5 to 6X, you are super fat, is based on what level of privilege you have in the world. So someone in a small fat category may not struggle getting on an airplane, but someone in a mid fat or super fat may not be able to use even the airplane extender. So that's where that comes in, and like the privilege levels of like what fat means to different people.
Yeah, this is absolutely insane. Everybody's got to be a victim these days, you know, and just being fat isn't like victim enough anymore. They had to categorize levels of fat so you could be credited your victimhood based on how fat you are. But yeah, there's basically in shape, out of shape, and obese. And you could pretty much throw on critically obese there too at the end for the people who are on their deathbed because they're so fat. But yeah, we need to bring back fat shaming. It's the only way people are gonna change their lives and get themselves back into good shape once they become like obese, you know. So you may actually save a life by fat shaming somebody. This whole body positivity movement has completely ruined people as far as getting back in shape and thinking they actually need to be in shape because they've been told, no, you're beautiful and you're healthy even though you're 400 pounds. It's just an insane world we're living in, folks. But all right, that's it for today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and we'll be seeing you.